again, going to go with that light bead of glue. Just down that spine right there. Not using a lot, not getting crazy with it. Take my strip of paper, line it up to the end, lay it down there. Just use your fingers. You can tell where it kind of evens out on both sides. Give it a little press here and there, that kind of thing. Make sure it ends up evenly. Keep it going. Just be progressive with it. Don't need to rush. Rather line it up the first time right and then have it go well, as opposed to, you know, having to try to peel it off or actually cut yourself a new doubler. And let that just sit there for a second. Make sure it's not gluing to the table. Nice and cool. All right, so this extra stuff that I have on the end, I don't really need that, so I can cut that, trim that off, give it a couple quick little swipes. Don't want to have to dig in there, just take your time. You can see there, a few swipes, she's done. Grab the other one, I'll do the same. Now you'll notice that if you cut your, obviously if you cut your poster board at 1/4 inch wide, it's going to be wider than the foam board. Foam board's 3/16. Sometimes, you know, if you're in places like the UK, across the pond, that kind of stuff, you got different foam board depending on where you are in the world. Some people have 5mm foam board, some people make their own foam board. Either way, doesn't matter. Now, poster board, being that it is a you know, a natural product, being that it's paper made out of wood, sanding it is very easy. So I'm just going to take my 100 grit sanding block. And I'm just going to knock down that little bit that's hanging on, just so it's even with the paper on the foam board itself. You'll see it'll sand down. You don't need to add a lot of pressure. Again, it's 100 grit sandpaper, so it'll do the work for you. Don't need to get crazy with it. I'm just going to smooth it down, just like that. Go all the way down the whole length of it. This mostly just, you want to do this to the inside where it's going to meet the other doublers and the sidewalls. If you want to do it for the outside, it doesn't matter. If you notice on my power pod, I like to hang my ESC underneath the power pod. It means the battery goes in the top of the power pod. And just on this model alone, just with the Schwarzster itself, it actually has an access hatch for the battery, which works out perfect where the pod fits anyway, right? So, again, we're just going to knock that edge down. You'll see it when it turns out even. You won't see a shadow line or anything like that. Give it a little bit. That's not too bad right there. Give it a little knockdown on top. You'll see you'll have like paper coming over top. Kind of get it to roll back over just so it lets the sandpaper cut off those little things. You see all that little pieces of paper coming off there? This is all poster board that you don't need. You don't need to be getting hung up on your power pod as you slide it in there, anything like that. But so far, that'll work out for what I need it to do. Smooth it out a bit of sound. Again, just kind of work at it. You'll see where you need it. I might even just leave that edge right there. I'm not too worried about it. It's not going to catch anything. It'll help things slide. And you're not going to see it anyway. It's going to be inside the fuselage underneath the power pod. So it's just one of those things, right? So now, if you take a look with my fuselage here, I'm going to look at the inside here. What I want to do is I don't want to just willy-nilly put it in there. Like, there's a lot of stuff here that's going to help line it up. You can see that there's a wing cut out right here. It matches up right here. You also got the curve at the front here that's going to match up with that. And the tip right here is actually going to match up with this part where it opens up. It's just going to sit on the inside. So because we got paper going to paper, I don't like putting paper next to paper. What I usually like to do is just peel the paper off of one piece. So you got glue going into the foam and then going into obviously hitting the paper on the opposing piece. So I'm just going to kind of line it up, make sure my fits are all good and all that kind of stuff. And just kind of dry fit it before I want to glue it. I want to make sure that all my lines are good and everything like that. Looks like I'll be able to put it in there. I'm not seeing any issues with it at all whatsoever. All right, so now that I know that this is going to be the inside, what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel the paper off of this section. Again, taking the paper off, it's just, you know, you're actually saving weight. You're not you're not adding more paper to paper. And since this stuff likes to delaminate from the foam so easy anyway, what you're really doing when you're gluing it together is you're actually putting paper to paper, which is going to delaminate at some point in time anyway. This way, you're actually reducing the amount of paper, and it's going to soak into the foam and give you a better bond. Now, got my heat gun all set up and ready to go here. I've got my bare foam. I'm just going to go at it. I'm not going to go right to the edge. Again, it's just something that's going to hold itself in there. It's not going to be something that's, you know, going to be a finished look that you need or anything like that. Again, it's going to be all on the inside. Not too worried about it. Smear it around in there. And it actually bonds to the foam better than the paper does anyway. So, I'm going to take it, slide it in there, and just like the old J-Bix does, give it a little bit of a swirl around. Give it a little shifty to help smear that glue and spread it around. I'm going to line up my edges here. Make sure everything's good there. Line this up back here. You'll see how everything kind of comes together. It's all cut from the same template anyway, so everything will all come together just nice. And when you're pretty satisfied with how it fits in there, you'll feel the heat of the glue coming through the foam. This is the part that I like, that I know it's really bonding. But yeah, you'll get it in there, make it look really good, and voila, it's in there. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. Again, you can see how that all comes together. That gives me double the amount of protection, crash protection right there than normally in the model. Of course, the piece that fits in there fits on the inside as far as the foam goes. The paper itself will overlap to the edge on the outside right here, and it takes care of your entire bottom skin. It actually comes in two pieces. There's a piece that actually goes from about here all the way back to the tail. Then there's another piece that comes around and forms up to the front. And then it also has its paper coming up and around over here. That's not something that they put in the video. That's something that I'm going to be doing. It's also going to be something that I'm going to do in poster board as far as this front section goes. I'll end up sticking the foam piece in there, peeling the paper off, and then recovering it with foam board. But we'll get into that in another tip and trick kind of idea. So now this one goes on the other side. So I'm going to do this in the same process, just on the opposite side of the original one. I'm just going to finish this off just so we can get another look at how it works out. But if I line up all the edges, everything's good. I know this is the side here that I want to take the paper off of. So that, actually, you know what? I'm going to sand it down first like I did before. So, again, just going to go over it, sand down that extra lip. Getting a little bit ahead of myself here. It's one of those things when you're trying to hurry through a video. Trying to get all the information in there, yet not waste a lot of time. And again, these are just like little things that you could do just to kind of, you know, make your models that much better, last that much longer. Again, if you're into speed build kits and stuff like that, speed build kits are great. I'm not the kind of person that likes to, you know, only give 20 minutes of my time into a speed build kit, but if you're actually, you know, looking to have some bonding time with some family, say you're a dad or anything like that, and you want to have some bonding time with your kids, or grandpa, and you've got grandkids or whatever, you're just really into flying, you got buddies over and they want to get into it. This is all stuff that just helps your models, you know, last a little longer. And, you know, it's super cheap, it's super easy. Like, we all know that foam board's only like a couple bucks a sheet at max, depending on where you're from, I guess. I've heard that, like, in Israel, it's stupid expensive and that kind of thing, but it's, you know, fairly inexpensive compared to buying, like Squirrel Tail did. Has a $3,000 plane that had an electronics problem, and now the plane is in a scrap heap. It's actually, I feel for the guy, man. That's a lot of money, and thank God for foam board, right? But yeah, so we got that knocked down right there. Again, gonna go back over, peel my paper off of there. Don't need it. Just adds weight. Take it from the other side. Peel it off. Get the majority of it off there. I'm not really going to nitpick with it or anything like that. Again, have my fuselage down here. I already know it's going to fit. Take my trusty glue gun here. And the glue gun itself, it's not an AdTech Pro 200 like the Bix uses or all those guys from Flite Test. This is just an $8 dollar store big stick glue gun. Works for exactly what I need, and I build a lot of planes. Anybody you know, this is probably my I've over 20 planes so far, so It's just one of those things.